everybody, what if we lived in a parallel universe? A universe where we did not get the second gen bug. A universe where it came out in the 80s, came from Latin America, from Brazil. Well, this is it, the 1980 Gol. It's essentially a shortened Audi 80, a Fox, with a restyled hatchback body. I'm gonna tell you all about this little foxy body. This is Lost In. Strap in, let's go. The Volkswagen Gol is a subcompact Gol manufactured by Volkswagen do Brasil in the 80s, from 1980 to 2023. Now this was Volkswagen's entry car in the Brazilian market and the surrounding Latino American markets. This stylish, cool little car takes its name from the Portuguese word for gold. A bit of smart marketing targeting the Brazilians' love of football, or as Estados Unidos people in America say, soccer. Reliability plus sharp design made this little Gol, this little VW, this little cute car, the best-selling car for 27 consecutive years. Beat that. The Type 30 was the first generation of the Gol and was the replacement for the Brasileira, which in itself was the replacement to the Fusca, the Beetle, in the Brazilian market. It was based on its own unique BX platform. Fancy. And this was derived from the existing Audi B1, B2 platforms. A muito inteligente way of reutilizing outgoing tools. The B1 platform found a whole new life repurposed for the Brazilian market. It was a wise move by Volkswagen Germany. Now, unfortunately, due to tax displacement laws, Germany did not share the engine tooling with its Brazilian counterpart. And this is something that's always kind of hindered the Brazilian market. No tem problema. Because the Brazilians got really creative and dropped in the flat 4 Volkswagen 1300 motor. Featuring the Fusca front-mounted longitudinal, this design was aimed at the Brazilian market. Now these little Brazilian Fusca motors got different fan housing so they could fit underneath the hood. But otherwise it's all air-cooled VW power under there, right down to the modest output and performance. The single car 1300 had all of glorious 42 horsepower. And the double carbureted 1600 made the 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, about like 60 miles an hour, in about 16 seconds. 1984, the first line of sexy hot Gols appeared, featuring a 1.6 liter and a 1.8 liter water-cooled engine, making it an awesome 90 horsepower. More power! The 1.8 longitudinally mounted water-cooled engine was borrowed from the Passat. The Gol 1.8 was the BX family's first sports edition, and the answer to the Ford Escort, which was a very popular car down here in Brazil, with that sweet little 1.8 liter motor borrowed from its big brother Passat. The little Gol was much faster than the Ford Escort. The first edition still had a 4-speed manual gearbox, but soon this was updated to a 5-speed unit. Fun note, a 1.6 liter diesel motor was made, but mainly for export, because diesel motors are not allowed or not prohibited down here in passenger vehicles. It's a big no-no. The GT and later GTI got more power as the years marched on. In 1985, every single Gol got a water-cooled engine. They were still mixing it up with the air-cooled and the water-cooled up until this point, but no more. As the little air-cooled 1600 was going obsolete, going the way of the dinosaur, I'm a dinosaur! The replacement was not the familiar AE 827 motor that was in the base Gol. No, this was a 1.0 liter motor built by Ford. So the poor little Gol got another hand-me-down motor. Because this was the time of the VW and Ford. Basically, they were sharing parts back and forth. The successor of the Gol GT was the Gol GTS. S. Super. This had an 80s updated design following the trends of the era. The BX line really got an up style. New accessories were finally available that weren't for previous models, such as a rear spoiler, fancy, side skirts, tasty. The 1.8 liter motor produced 94 horsepower. That's nice. And this was running on gasoline. However, the ethanol version did push up to 100 horsepower. The GTS was a very successful model and was kept in production along the GTI. The GTI has a nice little reputation, known as the first Brazilian car built with electronic fuel injection. Fancy. The GTI made its debut back in 1989 and had an upgraded 2.0-liter motor with an impressive 120 horsepower. That's cool. You know I'm mobbing with the D-O-E. This was only a gasoline motor. No ethanol here. A top speed of approximately 185 kilometers an hour. United States, that's 115 miles an hour. That's fast for a 1980s car, especially down here on our Brazilian roads. And this engine was borrowed from a larger vehicle, the Volkswagen Santana. That's a cool car in its own right. The big difference was it had fuel injection for the little Gol. Fancy. Known as the Volkswagen Gol in almost every market, with the exception of Egypt and Russia, motherland, where they're known as the Volkswagen Pointer. And of course, in the United States, it was known as a two-door sedan.
Introducing the Volkswagen Fox.
Foxy. The Fox followed the trend lines with an uncanny similarity to cars of the European market. This great little BX platform gave rise to several variants. Not only the Fox, which was known as the Voyage here in Brazil, but also there was a wagon version named the Pele and a small utilitarian pickup named the Severo. Very cool. But you know, that's a story for another Lostin. Stick with me, I'll get there. The second gen or GT Gol debuted in September 1994. It was still based on the BX platform and is very different from the earlier model, with an updated body featuring a longer wheelbase for better stability. Nicknamed the Golbalina, this new little Gol was the answer to the Chevrolet Corsa. This second generation Gol received a facelift, which featured cosmetic and engine upgrades. The first upgrade was known as the Gol GT3 and had a new VW front end very similar to that of the Jetta. The new Gol G3 did come with optional airbags, which was a safety plus, ABS brakes, safety plus, a good little cheap econo car. Gol was continued to be available on the market, known as the Gol Special, and this was for the lowest end market. Following the economic crisis and the devaluation in the Brazilian market in 1999, the Volkswagen Gol lineup was reduced. The 2.0-liter 16-valve motor was discontinued, while the 1.8-liter was withdrawn from most markets, and the smaller engines at the bottom of the lineup were improved, with the 1.0 16-valve turbo motor offered. That's a powerful tiny little motor. Approximately over 5 million of these beautiful little Gols have been produced here in Brazil. All of this since 1980. And in March 2013, it was announced that overall production of the Gol and its little variants reached over 10 million units. Gol! Following a continuous production for over 43 years, the Gol was canceled in 2023. This is an end of an era here in Brazil. The Gol was canceled. A downgraded version of the Volkswagen Polo is to be taking its place. I'm sorry, it's not the same. Well, that pretty much wraps it up for this Lostin. Wow, over 43 years of an awesome Brazilian car, giving rise to countless automotive enthusiasts. These little VW Golls in North America are making a comeback. With channels like Speed and their love for Volkswagen, these little Brazilian Golls are perfect for import to the American market. Well, that's it for right now. If you guys like this, please give a thumbs up, subscribe, and share this with your primo. It might bug them, but man, it means the world to me. So I really appreciate your time and your energy spent here. And until next time, até a próxima. See you on the flip side. Ciao, ciao.